let's see Japanese audiences top that. He was on good tonight. I don't want you to feel obligated, but I want to remind you, all of the jokes you're about to hear were written in America. Well, before we get to the rest of the show, let's talk about politics. That's where all the real humor is. Bush is down in Tennessee, and he's trying to capture the country music vote. Now, Bush is just a little out of that scene. He thinks Garth Brooks was Wayne's sidekick in Wayne's World. The president, come on now, the president's a nice man, but he is out of touch with the common people. Went into a southern diner down in Tennessee. Waiter came out and said, "How many grits?" And Bush said, "I'll take 4. I had great hopes for that. Yes. I'm not sure about the president's campaign sales pitch. Today he said, look at it this way. If you elect me, I'll never be able to run again. Now, interesting thing. Bush, for the first time, has finally mentioned the name of his Republican opponent. Down in Nashville, Bush actually referred to him as Pat. Not the last name. Just Pat for the first time. Now, things are really warming up. I understand next he is going to invite Buchanan to sit next to him at a banquet. I found out something today I didn't know, that I guess when you're out, campaigning, all the politicians, to keep in touch. Communication is very important. And did you know all the candidates carry around their own personal beeper? I guess some of you do, right? When you get a message, you beep for important messages. Except for Jerry Brown. Jerry has an Ouija board with call waiting. Now, and poor Governor Bill Clinton keeps getting hit by the tabloids. He had a campaign stop down south, and Bill Clinton played the saxophone. Now, he was here about, 2 years ago? He played the saxophone on The Tonight Show. So one of his campaign stops, he played the saxophone, and wouldn't you know it, the tabloids came out, and the Star said, "Clinton caught having extramarital sex." I ask you, is that fair? I ask you, is that funny? But that's another story. Now, Tom Harkin from Iowa, you know Mr. Harkin? They're calling him, thank you for that Tom Harkin from Iowa, folks. He's running on the Democratic ticket. Okay, I'm not campaigning. They are calling him the last liberal. Last liberal. Now, to keep the breed alive, today environmentalists tagged him and released him on the grounds of the Kennedy compound. Okay. This is true because it's so bizarre you think I'm making it up. It was on CNN today. NASA, the National Administration, Space Administration, wants to send a married couple into space. And, believe it or not, they want them to have sex. The sexual act. So they can make a study of it. We're going to spend money for that? I can already hear the excuses. Not tonight, I have vapor lock. It's zero gravity, isn't it? I want to hear that countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, foreplay, 3, 200. They wouldn't put a camera in there, would you?
No.
I mean, come on. They're a married couple, but I can just see the camera pans slowly over to the bed, and we see shoes, pants, stockings, and brassiere, and it's the ceiling. Okay, moving back from outer space, coming back to Earth, just in time, I might add. Did you read this in the paper today? Mike Tyson got a speeding ticket for driving 73 miles an hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. Poor guy. Not only is he looking at 40 years in prison, but he may have to spend a day in traffic school. Okay, yesterday in California, Moore Park, California, nice little city out here. Kind of an interesting item. A California poultry truck carrying 4,000 chickens overturned. Now, 1,500 of the chickens died in the crash. 900 were injured, and they were given lethal injections, and the survivors were sent on to the processing plant. I have really no joke here. I just wanted to tell the chickens that some nights I know just how they feel. That's all there is to it. Okay, now, Monday, I want you folks to fire up your VCR. You're going to want to tape this, probably to pass on to your children. It's in the paper. Next Monday, Geraldo Rivera will have a doctor on his show extract fat cells from his, yes, on the show, from his rear end, and implant them in his forehead to smooth out wrinkles. Now, my question is, if something goes wrong, how can they tell where the brain damage is? Wow. He was doing that on the air. Right from the tush into the... Anyway, tonight, I'm looking forward to tonight. We have Miss Elizabeth Taylor is on the show tonight. We are the only ones, each of us is not married yet. It's nice because, in 3 months we're not going to be here, and by the fact that Liz is here tonight, we're lining up other big stars who are coming on before we leave. We may get Elvis yet. Talk to his agent today. Anyway, tonight, along with Miss Elizabeth Taylor, Mr. Michael Douglas is here. And singer Linda Hopkins. So stay where you are. We'll be right back. Thank you. Good Friday night crowd. Yeah. Marvelous audience tonight. We've got a great show. Elizabeth Taylor's here for the very first time on our show. Right. We've been trying to get her for years. Yeah. Mr. Michael Douglas is also here, and Linda Hopkins, so it should be fun. Now, to test what kind of an audience we have, occasionally we hand out some cards, and you can ask whatever is on your mind. You do not have to identify yourself, in case you are in the wrong place tonight. Paul, is it Parrish?
Yeah.
Where are you, Paul?
Right here.
From San Diego, right?
Yes.
All right, Paul, what time is dinner at your place tonight? What's for dessert? I don't know, Paul. What goes good with well-roasted intruder? Earl Parr, P-A-H-R.
Yeah.
From St. Paul. Obviously, you're with a group, Earl? Yeah. St. Paul, that's where they have the Winter Carnival, right? St. Paul? Okay. Do you and Ed ever carpool into work together? Yeah, what happens? Ed picks me up, puts my car in his trunk. He doesn't drive. Ed doesn't drive, right?
No.
I've never seen you drive a car.
And you never shall.
Why is that?
Because I drive poorly. I drive a car like I used to fly an airplane. I'm so overcautious, and
Really?
so I'm dangerous. I don't drive.
I've never asked you that before.
No.
Been together for
But
30
do you want to drive me home
No, thanks.
tonight?
No. Perry Arness or Arnold, do you ever plan to come back and visit Burbank after you leave the show? Not unless the hearse takes a wrong turn.
Just a joke. That was a joke. You love Burbank.
Just that was a joke. Ellen Levy or Levy? How are you, Ellen? I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine too. Oh, this is sweet. What will happen to Tommy Newsom? Will you be able to find him a new home? No. No, unfortunately, we have to put Tommy to sleep. And you won't be able to tell the difference either. No, the guys have got things lined up, haven't you guys? Sure.
Going on tour.
Is that right?
Yes.
We are going on tour.
That's good. So you'll see the band around. Good. Marcia Humphreys. Will you be intimidated by Liz Taylor? Will you be nervous looking into those big purple eyes? Not purple eyes. She has violet eyes, right? No. Not purple. But the purple eyes made me nervous. Ed would have been in a car a long time ago. We're talking purple eyes here. Kim Walter from Sacramento. Did you body double for Arnold Schwarzenegger in Spy Magazine? Have you heard about that photo? Arnold Schwarzenegger in Spy Magazine, a cappella. I mean, nothing. Nothing. I guess steroids can only do so much. Hey, I love Arnold, but I kid the guy. Judy Napier?
Yes.
You sound unhappy, Judy. What? Anything wrong?
Just glad I got in tonight.
Well, we're glad you got into, Judy. Do you know where Ewing, Nebraska is? 54 miles west of Norfolk. That's where I grew up. You came 2,000 miles to tell me that? We got one more. Why don't you kick back for the last few months and do the show from your bedroom? No. See, we'd seat 500 people here. I'd need, a couple dozen more seats. Just a joke, folks. Anyway, we'll thank you for those interesting questions. And before we have Liz come out, here's a new brand of medicine from Excedrin. Excedrin IB, the headache ibuprofen. We'll be back. Okay, we're back. Okay, I cannot think offhand of another international personality who has sparked the intense public fascination as my first guest, and it's a great pleasure to have her here. Would you welcome Miss Elizabeth Taylor? You want the little footstool?
In town.
Well, let's see now. We've been on the air 29 years and 6 months, and we got about 3.5 months to go, and we finally got you here.
Well, thank you. You know, I'm not plugging anything. I have nothing to sell. I really wanted to come on the show and thank you for 30 years of brilliant entertainment.
Well, isn't that nice? Thank you for coming, Elizabeth. Now, my next guest. Did you come here by motorcycle, or is this your outdoor outfit?
Fat boy.
No, I'm glad you found. We've asked you many times in the past, but I'm just delighted you showed up here.
I am too.
Yeah.
I really look forward to this.
Besides, next Thursday, isn't it? Is your birthday, February the 27th? Pre-happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wish you were coming.
I wish I could too. You said, I think you were quoted as saying you appreciated this one especially. This was great. How come? Any particular reason? Looking forward to this one? Outside of the you've...
Well, first of all, it's kind of astonishing that I ever made it. It comes as a surprise to me. Sometimes I didn't think I would. And I don't know. Years ago, Grace Kelly and I sat down and had a talk a few months before our kind of impending doom of 40.
Yes.
And we thought, what are we going to do? And we decided just to face it head on and make a big noise out of it and have fun.
Right.
And she had a great party in Monte Carlo, and I had a super party in Budapest. I went to hers, and she came to mine, and dozens of other people.
Right.
And we just entered our 40s with a blast.
Yeah.
And I thought, hell, 40's a child. So at Disney, I mean, what am I going to do for 60? I'm going to give a party for the child in me. So we're going to
60.
Disney.
You look marvelous.
Thank
you do.
you.
60. I mean, come on. And they are violet, aren't they? And they are violet.
I don't know, red.
Yeah, as you said, as you're a survivor, I was reading your book the other night, and
Glad you didn't have to do
yeah,
that.
no, I wanted to. You are a stunning-looking person. You ever getting tired of people staring at you when you come into a room?
Not if it's a nice stare.
Really?
No.
Doesn't bother you?
If it's a sweet one, that's nice.
Let me ask you a question. You're going to be 60. You made your first movie when you were, I think, 9 years old.
Yeah, I came out when
Nine.
I was 10.
Yeah.
So I've been in show business 50 years.
And you were. You know what's amazing, really? What amazes me is that you were a major motion picture star when you did National Velvet. A lot of people were in the public eye and have been in the public eye a long time, but you've endured, and there's been this fascination. Have you ever considered why that is? A lot of other people just fade away. You haven't.
They've tried.
No, but you ever analyze it? Why does they still have the public fascination?
I don't know. I think perhaps it's because I am a survivor. And I'm like a living example of what people can go through and survive.
Yeah.
I've had the lowest valleys, the highest highs. I've had a lot of tragedy in my life. I've had addictions. I've had weight problems. I've had extreme happiness. So that's why it's kind of a miracle that I am actually going to be 60.
Yeah.
I've
You made it,
almost
huh?
died a couple of times.
Yeah, I know.
I've been pronounced dead. So, it's like...
That's true. It was in London, were you not?
I've read my own obituaries. They were best reviews I ever had.
What is fascinating? How's married life treating you this time?
Great. How's
Really?
yours?
Fine, thank you. Thank you. Mine's just fine. Let's talk about marriage a little bit. I've made jokes about nobody likes to have a marriage that does not work, right?
No,
Nobody likes that.
absolutely not.
And I've often made jokes about mine because I think sometimes by doing that...
mine, too.
Yes, I have. That's absolutely true, but I think you do that to kind of keep the hurt away, and you make jokes about it. Now, when it comes to if marriage was a giant slalom, I mean, I'm a bronze medal winner. You're a gold medal winner, right? I mean, to put it that way. What makes this one seem like it's going to work?
Well, I'm sure you were very cautious this last time.
That is true.
I never thought I'd get married again. I wasn't married for 11 years, which for me is history-making. And I think the circumstances under which we met, to go through therapy together at Betty Ford, you get to know each other really well.
Right.
I mean, there are no secrets.
Right.
And we give each other great support in our sobriety, and there is a kind of closeness that is like nothing show businessy. It's very private.
Right.
And very profound.
What I was interested in, usually, I mean, it's been the case or the model that older men marry younger women. I did. My wife, Alex, is quite a bit younger than I am. On the other hand, recently, it seems that older women are marrying younger men. In your case, that's the way it worked.
Well,
And
see, my men have stayed the same age. I used to marry men 20 years older.
That's true.
And they've stayed the same age.
So you said enough already and you went the other way.
Well, no, they're just, around 40. I like it.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good age. Larry is a construction worker.
Yeah.
Right? Been married to a politician. You ever thought of marrying, or did you ever think in your career of marrying a comedian? I mean,
They were, most of them, comedians.
Not professional.
Some of them should have been paid.
I'm not sure those of us who do humor are make the best husbands. They might be fun around the house, a lot of laughs, but we're kind of moody too. How would you rate yourself as, on a scale of 1 to 10, as being easy to live with? Do you feel you're easy to live
Well,
with?
I'm a Pisces, and we're very sensitive.
Yeah, what does that mean now? I was married to a Pisces once.
I'm sure you were.
Oh, I know. I just try to move around the zodiac, That's right. So, do you put any Any groundwork in astrology at all? The Pisces meaning, I forget, what are the characteristics of a Pisces?
No, I really don't. It's just an excuse. It means you can flake off.
Yeah. You mentioned when you met Larry, going through the clinic and the therapy together, don't some of those programs suggest that you don't immediately form a relationship until after you're out of
they
there?
do,
So you
for a
don't have,
year.
so you don't have a need or a dependency?
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And we were very careful about that, and we were very tentative and cautious, and we were friends
Yeah.
before we were serious.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to take a break,
It's almost 4 years.
and we're going to come back, and I've got some other things I want to talk about, okay?
Okay.
We'll be right back. Stay where you are. Just move around. Okay, we're back. Talking with Elizabeth Taylor. That's good. Do you prefer Elizabeth or Liz?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. That's what I thought.
I really do.
My mother's name, the middle name was Elizabeth.
Really?
Yeah,
what
really
was
was.
your first name?
What? Ruth?
Ruth?
Yeah, biblical.
Very.
Ruth Elizabeth, yeah. Let me ask you a question. You mentioned just while we were away and the band was playing that when you went on tour, you know, you're talking about your perfume, and we'll talk about it a little bit, that you felt uncomfortable working in front of live audiences. Now, most people would find that strange because you've been in front of audiences in a way all your life. What's the difference
no,
between
because
doing...
the camera is, in a sense, like an eye.
Right.
But it's only one. And you have sometimes this umbilical cord kind of connection with the camera.
Right.
And you forget everybody else on the set. You don't even see them. You only see the actor you're working with and only feel their presence and their eyes.
Right.
And you're aware of this eye, but it's only one. I never have been on your show, really, because I thought I'd be terrified of an audience. And you're really not scary at all. But I found
Come
on
and
the
try the monologue some night. You'll find out. No, that's true. It's a good.
But
It's an
I
interchange.
found on the perfume tour that I was doing questions and answers for thousands of people in department stores, and I had a ball.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah.
Not that terrifying.
No.
On the other hand, if I had to do something like in a motion picture, I feel very awkward because I'm so conscious that people are watching maybe what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. This doesn't
And
bother
I
me.
forget they're there.
That's interesting.
You have to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tell me about your friendship with Michael Jackson. It is intriguing because you seem to come from different worlds. You were married on his ranch. They had 22 helicopters overhead. You had people parachuting in, right?
Yes.
How did you become friends? And
We became friends, and he's like my brother. And there actually is a lot of similarity between Michael and myself. We're both from show business children. We started very young, had no childhood to speak of, and went through the loneliness of that and the sort of strangeness of growing up when you're an adult. And he loves animals. I love animals. Right. We're both shy. We actually have a lot in common, and we can talk to each other on so many different levels. And Michael is like litmus paper. He's like blotting paper. He just soaks up everything. And he's so curious. And until about 2 months ago, he kept saying to me, "Oh, God, I just loved your performance in Jane Eyre." I say, "Jane Eyre? I was 11 years old. You know, Michael, I have grown up." He finally saw Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and was like very impressed. And I said, "Thank you, Michael. Now I can play the records in ABC."
I forgot that is an interesting parallel. You both started very, very young. You wrote in the book, you said when you were young at the studios, very early in your life, you realized the difference between Elizabeth Taylor, the commodity, and Elizabeth Taylor, the person. How did you come to that realization? Because it's important. You realized what was going on at the studio, but you're a commodity because you're a movie star, right? But you realize the difference between that and yourself.
Well, I realized there was a certain value to this commodity called Elizabeth Taylor when I told L.B. Mayer who was swearing at my mother and using words that I really have never heard before.
He was a tyrant, wasn't he?
Oh, he was foaming at the mouth and carrying on like a lunatic. And he was swearing at her and being so abusive. And I jumped up with tears pouring down my face and said, "You and your studio can both go to hell." And I stormed out of his...
How old were you?
15.
And you told that to Louis B. Mayer?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I ran to Benny Thaw's office, who was the vice president, and another vice president came in and said, "You've got to go back and apologize." And I said, "No. Why should I apologize? He should apologize to my mother. I am not apologizing, and I'm not going back in his office." And I never did.
Yeah.
And that sort of made me realize when they didn't fire me that this commodity must have some value to them. Otherwise, I would have been sacked. And I didn't care where that had been.
And you've heard the famous story that somebody once said, that actor will never work in this town again, unless, of course, we need him.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
there's a lot that
I think I learned that when I was 15.
Yeah. When you were growing up in the studios in those days, they were protective of the stars, right?
Yeah.
Things have changed a lot. For example, they had press relations people who, if one of the stars maybe went out and had a little too much to drink, that wasn't in the paper, because in those days, that was almost scandalous.
Yeah.
What do you think what's happened lately in all these last 40 years? I mean, remember Ingrid Bergman when she,
Yes.
you know, had a little...
I mean, they ran her out of town.
They practically ran her out of the country, and the poor lady didn't work here for almost 20 years. And nowadays, and I'm not being judgmental on this, people have children together who aren't married, and everybody greets it like, you know, what a joyous occasion.
Yeah.
The morality has changed
Thank
completely.
God.
What do you think of that?
I think it's wonderful.
You mean now people are seeing
I
there's
think
no
it's
hypocrisy
a
about
kind
it?
of freedom. I don't like the yellow journalists, the National Enquirer, and the Gewalt.
Yes.
I hate to even say it. It's like our favorite magazine.
Yes, I know.
The one we help support.
Yes.
You know, they get away with absolute murder. I sued
And you know
them
why
a
they do
couple
as
of
well
years
as I
ago.
do.
Huh?
Because it's not worth it sometimes to go through all of that.
No, I did sue them, and I did win, and that was very satisfactory.
It was good for you.
It was a good deal.
Yeah.
But I just had gotten sick, and they came up with some facts that were just so totally off the wall.
Yes,
You know,
don't
usually
lie.
they'd put a little bit of element of truth in and embellish it. Well, you know.
That doesn't sell papers. You know, people don't
No,
want to read
of course
that.
not. Everybody believes it, right?
Yeah. Let me ask you another. How do you feel about people, let's say entertainers, who write books and detail, which has been done, I'm not going to mention any names, detail that they have slept with so-and-so or had relations with so-and-so maybe 20 years ago. Now those same people are married and they have maybe a family, and people write these kiss and tell books talking about alleged...
I think it's
Why do they do that?
unbelievably
Yeah.
tacky.
Gentlemen or ladies don't do that, do they?
I think it's terribly tacky. It's uncalled for, it's not fair, it's selfish, it's exploiting something that supposedly was sentimental, significant, and meaningful.
Right.
And I think it's really bad taste.
Yeah, but that seems to be what's happening now in the tabloid journalism.
And people get paid a lot of money for writing it in books.
Yeah. What's the nicest gift you ever received? I know you have a passion for jewelry. That's well publicized. But what's the nicest gift you've ever received?
Oh, God, I've received some. I guess the gift of life.
Yeah. No, that's not, but I mean a material thing.
When I was, okay, probably...
Didn't you have a diamond once the size of a kumquat? I mean, or something like that, or...
Well, I still have it. You don't throw things like that out.
No, that's not recyclable.
They don't become, like, used.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I think probably the most exciting present I ever received in my life was when I was 13, after I'd made National Velvet, and the studio gave me the horse.
They did.
Yeah. And that just blew my mind.
Did you keep the horse for a while?
Until it died when I was 24 years old.
It's a pretty long life
Yeah.
for a horse, isn't it?
Yeah.
So your life is pretty happy now.
Yes. Very. Thank
That's
you.
great. I'm happy for you.
And you look like you're happy, too.
I am too, and I
Good.
thank you for coming tonight. You're going to stay with us, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, because Michael Douglas is going to join us in a little while.
Great.
And we'll just stay here and talk some more. Stay where you are. We're coming right back. Look what he did again. next guest is one of our most popular actors, and he is one of the most successful producers now in the current movie scene. His latest film, Radio Flyer, opened today. Would you welcome, please, Michael Douglas. Good to see you, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you. You're honored. Hey, this fun tonight. Have you two know each other before, or?
We, actually, Elizabeth, excuse me.
You must have been watching the monitor.
Yes. When I was about 13 living in Connecticut, you and Richard Burton chartered a yacht. And you came through and you arrived on our little port. And I remember watching you. It was really wonderful. It was like royalty. It was better. And you came up. But more recently, we ran into each other on an airplane, traveling. But haven't had a chance to know intimately or closely.
People always...
Stick around.
Yeah. Time out. Are you flirting over there with this married man?
I'm sorry, Larry.
Yeah. Everybody... Everybody always figures that all entertainers know each other well.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so everybody always figured that all entertainers know each other very well, and not true. You work in your own area, and sometimes you work together, but not everybody has sleepovers or cookouts.
No, it's actually it's isolated a lot. I mean, you finish projects, you finish pictures together, and as intimately as close as you are, and then you just sort of disappear.
Yeah.
Like
no,
camp.
When you grew up in a family. Kirk Douglas is your dad, so you had access to people who were already, in the business. Who would you like to meet? Is there anybody you haven't met that you'd like to meet?
Probably, the only people I can think of would be Marlon Brando, who I've never met.
Interesting man.
Yeah, very interesting man. And Katharine Hepburn, I've never met. And I'd actually love to meet, there's a lot of sports figures. I think maybe growing up in the entertainment business, I'm a big sports freak. I love sports. I find it as a release. So I dream about meeting a lot of sports figures, athletes.
Yeah. When you were, I hate to ask you this question because it's going to make me sound like Methuselah, but your dad was on the show many times. And when you were younger, did you ever think you'd join us?
I can't believe it. When you began the show.
Yeah, go easy. Go easy.
Go easy. I'm going to take it. When you were first 2 or 3 years and I was a young man, I was a teenager and trying to...
So you're being so delicate, aren't you?
I'm just trying. I remember thinking that when I was trying to articulate what I thought about something, right, as a young teenager, I used to go in the bathroom and sit on the John. And I pretend I was on the Johnny Carson show. And I'd sit there and...
This is an honor that comes to few people, folks.
And, I pretend you were asking questions. Well, Johnny, my mother would be outside. She said, "Are you all right, honey? Are you okay?" Well, and then I remember the first time.
We looked up our records, I think it was 1971?
1971.
That you were on the show.
21 years ago. I was a very young actor, and you were kind enough with Freddie to have me on the show. And I was terrified. I'll never forget. I was so scared. And you came... in before the show to meet the different people on the show, and I remember you came in and said, "Hi, Johnny Carson." Oh, was it just? I was like, I guess he'd take a look, and I sat back there, and the show was an hour and a half in those days, and like this, and it got to the end of the show and said, "Sorry, we ran out of time tonight, but we'll have Michael Douglas back again." I was so relieved. I was so relieved. So my first was a non-experience.
I did not remember that you got bumped that time.
No,
because I always hate that somebody shows up and you sweat it out until you come out, and then all of a sudden you don't make it.
Oh, but I think you took one look at me and thought it was a very good idea.
No, but as a second-generation screen actor, you should have kind of been prepared for that, being with your dad all the time, right?
Well, I guess you do, but I think second generation, particularly if you're the son of an actor or the daughter of an actress, takes you a little longer to find yourself. I think it takes you longer to find your own identity. You know, at an early age,
it opens doors when it starts, right, in a way. But
it opens doors in a certain way in terms of an entree.
Yeah.
But I think it takes you a little longer to find out your own identity.
Right.
Because this is one of the few business or areas, and any other cleaners, so-and-so and son, or carpenter, so-and-so, you do the same thing. But in this business, if you act too much like your father or your mother in certain cases, you don't have your own identity.
Yeah. Your dad is going around introducing himself now as Michael Douglas's father, right? Does he kid you about that, or do you kid him about it?
Well, we joke around. He's been really wonderful about all that's happened. I know sometimes he'll have a woman reporter, all due respect, who will say, come up to you, are you jealous about your son's success? And he said, only a woman would ask me that. I said, this is a sense of immortality.
That's right.
For a man. It's a continuity of generations. So he's been wonderfully supportive.
That is great. We're going to take a short break, but we're coming back. Stay here. Good to see you. The 71, and we bumped you? We're back talking with Michael Douglas and Elizabeth Taylor. We're always talking about you and your dad, and I hope you don't get... Does that bother you all the time? But you had different upbringings. Your dad, who wrote the book The Ragman's Son, I think, was literally a ragman's son who became Kirk Douglas. You grew up, I guess, in Eastern schools, gentlemen's schools, different kind of...
Absolutely. He has a real rags to riches story, which he even says is too corny for the movies. And through his success and everything else, afforded me a much nicer upbringing. So we're trying to do a picture together. We're working on...
Have you ever worked together?
No. We have a picture working on, actually a circus film idea that I'd like to do together with him. And it's interesting, we sort of define the roles of the different generations.
Right.
And his character is just so much easier to define. And kids of post-war period, of the affluence, you don't quite have the dramatic spectrums that you had from that earlier generation.
Now, how will you arrange the billing in this picture?
Whatever way he wants.
Sleep wherever he wants to sleep. Pictures have a little more hard edge to them nowadays than they did when you made pictures, were kind of sweet and so forth. And now they got all these hard edge things, and people think there's too much violence and so forth. And the love scenes. Did I read that you did a love scene with, don't tell me, Melanie Griffith?
Well, I had a picture in Shining Through.
That they almost had to tone down, or?
Well, that was in Shining Through. That was a nice. We thought it was a nice scene, but you're probably referring to a picture coming up called Basic Instinct, coming up in another month. It's pretty hot. There's two actresses, Sharon Stone, one, and Jean Triplehorn, and the picture required some minor cutting to get an R rating.
What do you mean minor cutting? I'm not being of the movie business, Michael. I don't understand.
I'm saying only 47 seconds.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do in 47 seconds.
It's amazing what you can do in 1 second.
Radio Flyer is the antithesis of this is a very, very sweet, lovely picture. I'm very proud of from our production company.
Does that come from the wagon, the Radio Flyer?
Radio Flyer from the wagon,
Yeah.
and so it's a lovely, tender picture. And obviously, I'm not in it, and I think it's just great. Richard Donner directed it, and his wife Lauren Schuler produced it. It's a lovely film. It's open today.
That takes you back. Did you have a Radio Flyer when you were a kid?
I sure did.
And I had a flexible flyer. That was the sled.
Yeah, those were dangerous.
Yes. Did you have a flexible flyer?
Yeah.
You still have it?
In Beverly Hills, sure.
Sure.
I still love those. We used to go around. I was out in L.A. When they were building the storm drains out here.
Yeah.
They're still putting tickles inside them. It was amazing.
So Radio Flyer just...
Radio Flyer's opening today.
And what's the other one? The basic, the one that's 47 seconds. What do they do with those 47 seconds? Does that go on no, come on, Does that go on some kind of reel for review or?
Well, it was a long process, but hopefully not. It could be. But you can go if it's an expensive ticket, but you can go over to Europe and see it.
What was it, Michael? Tell us.
Well, it wasn't that much different, but there's just little things that on the ratings board that they not little things like that.
Hey, I'm out of here. Don't look at me, folks. We'll be right back. Hey, this has been fun tonight. I want to, before we leave tonight, I want to thank Linda Hopkins. She was standing by, but we ran a little long tonight. I know she'll understand. Linda's appearing at the Catalina Bar and Grill from the 25th of February through March 1st, and she's a marvelous singer, so go see her, and we'll have her back on the show soon. This has been fun tonight. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Jim.
Elizabeth, it's been brilliant. I'm glad you showed up after all this time. Did you have a good time?
I had a wonderful time.
Marvelous. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being happy marriage. And we'll see you soon. Good night. I'm humbled by that applause.